Hello, good morning or afternoon, or whatever it may happen to be. So, there have been multiple updates to One Vision over the course of the last month, and I actually just wanted to go through and kind of cover what changed. Now, since the last time I did an update, there have been some pretty substantial ones, like a lot of crafting books getting moved around, things like all of the spells getting renamed and all that kind of thing, but a lot of that stuff ends up changing as of the last couple updates, so I wanted to go ahead and cover the stuff that's actually changed since version 9.5.3, 9.5.6, and 9.5.6a, since there are quite the list of changes here. So starting in 9.5.3, basically stuff started getting moved around here. For those that are unaware, in the technical background of all this, everything in the game is just kind of assigned a slot, which has certain limitations. So a lot of times when things are getting moved around, they have to adhere to certain limitations in certain ways, so I'm sure you've noticed occasionally there's like a period out of place or something like that. That's usually the kind of stuff that's there, like the weird text limits. Sometimes it's just limited in terms of what slot can do what. So this one specifically mentions that, yeah, some things were moved around. So specifically, there's the monster characters that actually don't need to have their attack item anymore. They actually just got that built into them. So let's just go ahead and get started here. So let's see, continued with incremental updates, campaign battles. This time adding Chapter 3 on Chaos. So just so you know, all of Chapter 3 is done at this point. So neutral was the version before this. This one added Chaos. Saving Habarim should be made easier. Basically, he's at this point, this is updated as well, since he actually has a unique class now. But yeah, he's a good bit more survivable than before. He doesn't tend to get himself killed off immediately. That's always fun. So let's see, high-level drop-only weapons will also have a small int bonus. Essentially, a lot of things got reworked in this patch. This was actually the armor rework patch. But yeah, a lot of the end-game weapons give you a small casting bonus. Caster weapons will have a bonus to the matching elemental augment instead of that int bonus, to make it a little bit more specialized. The bonus of parry and deflect will stay at +1 for Damask tier gear and above. These are powerful skills, and the bonus from the items was often much higher than the ranks they normally have. So yeah, that's fair. By the time you could get a hold of them, in most cases you did have about rank 3 parry. You could get that up to +4. So you were essentially running rank 7 parry before you could even get it halfway ranked up. So fair enough. I will say I relied on that pretty extensively for the solo run. So fair. Anyhow, natural attacks that the beasts can use can now be directly instilled, so there's no need for assault tokens anymore, and you'll be able to maul the enemies with your dragons and haymakers with your golems once again. So this is just a nice little convenience change that all of that's just built in. So added a new weapon craftable by Secrets of the Master. As some of the weapons will be shifted around, you might find yourself with a let's see, fat stack of Guybold spears. So if you had a Ventisca or a Guybold, and you don't have them now, you have to acquire them again. They will drop in the same spots as before, or you can use spears. But by the way, that new spear is probably my single favorite weapon in the game right now. So basically, yeah, you gotta beat Nibith to get a hold of this thing. It's basically a 4-tile spear that detonates everything in its range. It's really cool. Basically, it's this kind of like the spear version of the Crusagram, except it hits 4 tiles instead of hitting twice. Really fun spear there. Actually, not even terribly heavy looking at it now. Because let's see, normal heavy spears by this point, yeah, they're about 8. 10's higher. It's about the equivalent of a 2-hander. Still, though, it's pretty dang good. Absolutely loving this thing. And yeah, I figured there was no better thing for this. I was actually going through and remaking an entire From Software team here. I was actually going to be doing a little bit of an kind of AI challenge fight monthly thing that I thought folks might find fun. Anywho, moving on back to the actual updates here. So, one-handed katana side grades have an avoid bonus instead of parry. Fair. So you don't really stack them. Basically, you would never have a reason to keep your parrying. Well, you'd basically go put your other stat bonus weapon in your first slot. Parry bonus would essentially be fine in the second slot. So this essentially means you can't cheese the system as much. So caster staves have a +2 bonus to elemental augments. Very strong there. Instruments are basically +2 to elemental augments is about 10% increase in power. Instruments are now extended range melee weapons like books, so they do the little pew pew thing. Blowguns were reshuffled to receive more powerful status effects at higher levels and renamed accordingly. So to kind of show that off real quick. Can these guys use blowguns? No, but Garrish is still how it is. Wyvern is now a poison dart here. Balder is silence. Jin is slow. Hypnos is sleep. Nymph is charm. Kirin is let's see, +0. So I believe that's a double damage. I think this is percentage damage. And then Curse Ward, and then the Damask Blowgun gives fear. Femix gives stop, and the Rahula gives petrify. So all of them have some sort of effect on them. The damage-only blowguns are removed because they were kind of pointless, to be fair. Anyhow, fun change there. So let's see what's next here. So added a blowgun that fires healing darts. It hurts just a bit, so your units won't try to evade it. It's for their own good. Oh, actually, that's the one that I tried to show there. Where was it? Yada yada yada. That should be this one then. Yeah, the Kirin. Okay, so yeah, that would it's +0, not -0. So yeah, it'll do a small heal there. Handy little thing. Let's see. Boltcaster crossbows will have crushing damage type again, as they weren't interacting with obstacles properly with no damage type. They also got their accuracy bonus back. So if we were to peek over those real quick, that would be ones like this. So going over here, yeah, they got 20 agility. They're basically the ranged equivalent of a sword at that point. Seems pretty solid. Definitely would be considering using one of those again. Let's see, Icarus bow and crossbow have +1 range, so that would be over here. So they're up to 3 to 7, where Icarus bow is up to 3 to 7. Whereas Icarus crossbow is 2 to 8. Fair enough. Alright. Boulders were removed as a weapon, because those are built in now. Dragon Scale Shield is a side grade, so it properly grants Deflect now. Now, boulders being removed as weapons, I believe that means the AI won't go chucking around boulders. I don't know if folks were complaining about that or not. I feel like... I know I've mentioned... I think I've seen a few folks mention that they weren't originally happy with chucking, but we'll see how that all shakes out. So, Dragon Scale Shield is a side grade, so it properly grants Deflect. So that would be over here. And here we go, Dragon Scale. So... got parry on your worm scale, deflect on your dragon scale. Armor and accessories. As the gap between defensive upgrades was quite large, there are now more steps added instead of side grades, with some of the side grades being baked into mainline items. I'm actually going to skip over part of that because it ended up changing later, but essentially what it boils down to is there was an armor rework. So you've got your heavy, mediums, and lights as there were before, as well as your usual robes, but the difference being that you've got more of your mediums available. You don't have to go out of your way to get them anymore. And you also have some kind of stopgap armor. So, for example, after the Damask Vest comes up, you can get the heavy armor for it. The worm scale essentially has one before it, so you don't go from Balder to worm scale. It's essentially Balder to Damask worm scale. Also, this kind of I feel like roll-wise, it kind of nerfed to the power armors a little bit, which is good, because in a lot of cases they were pretty dang strong. Anyhow, just something to bear in mind is that this also shifted around where the leggings and helmets are. So, for example, helmets are defense, health, and resistance, whereas leggings got the vitality bonus. Essentially, what this originally boiled down to was that there were no heavy armor leggings. Even the heaviest ones were still more of an evasion thing. So, for example, you have a reason to use full worm scale now, because it'll give you that vitality, defense, and health. It's kind of shifted the roles more, but I will say, as far as organizing where everything is, it does feel like it helps a decent bit. Also, before I forget, since it's probably going to mention it later, you want to go ahead and resort all of your items at this point. So, how to do that? Essentially go here. Well, actually, I don't know why I'm going there exactly. Apparently in love with that triangle thing today. But we're going to go down this way. Where's my resort? You know, it's funny because resort is just one of those things that never comes up, so I can never remember where it is. Where is the resort? Oh man, okay, whatever, we'll get to that. So, let's see, due to shop space constraints and to avoid eliminating lower level armor recipe books, you can only buy defensive gear up to Boulder tier. This actually changed, so that's why I'm kind of skipping over that. Body armor has the usual 3 variants. Gloves have been mostly merged together. So there are now mage gloves with a high int bonus, light gloves with a high dex bonus, and moderate luck/int bonuses, and the heavy gloves give high strength bonuses and moderate int bonuses. So yeah, you got your heavy, you got your speedy, you got your brainy. So good stuff there. Leg guards are stronger defensive items. Boots with waterwalk, lava block, and float have small bonuses to other stats, and this actually ended up getting buffed later as well. So that'll be over here. Essentially, this is going to be in the next one that we get to. But for example, the Inferno ring here, lava walk, and renewal instead of just lava walk here, as well as far better stats. So yeah, there's actually a reason to go out of your way to get them now. Trying to see what other ones I have in this team here. Yeah, this one right here is one of the cool new changes that came out of the last one, but we'll be showing that in a little bit here. Could have sworn I had somebody with the Kraken ring here. So yeah, Water Walk and Resilient. Basically, all of them previously had that bit of an annoying issue where there was no real role for them. I mean, quite frankly, I don't think anybody ever went out of their way to go get the Kraken ring. I mean, the thing's always just been like, oh, hey, you can walk on water. Well, just about everyone can learn Wade instead, or just avoid the water. So, you know, now there's actually a reason to keep it around, because it's only situationally useful, so it's good for it to have other roles now. Alright, what else here? Added Exile's Mark. It's craftable with transcriptions, but will eventually be added elsewhere as a drop. It actually was already added. So that would be right here. That would be the Blade Knight. That's going to be... Why can I not remember his name right now? That would be Habarim's unique class. I apologize, it's been a bit of a week with lack of sleep here. Anyway, so that's going to be Habarim's unique class. Essentially, kind of like a sort of spell sword kind of situation here, with some unique abilities. So it grants Blade Spirit and charges MP. So yeah. So looking down the list here, so he's got his Reflects, got the Tactician, Treasure Hunt, as most do. Gets TP4, so they're going to be able to scale up their finishers pretty well. Got their jumps for moving around. Interestingly, they have instills, so this is why I was saying they're kind of like a spell sword kind of thing. Comes with 1 rank of Rampart Aura. Comes with 3 ranks of counter hit, so they get access to the full thing there. Parry, Deflect, Overpower, as you'd expect, Augments, and Art of War. Art of War-wise, let's see what they can learn here. Looks like it's mostly going to be the dances as well as some of the ninja moves. So they get Shadowbind, Escalade, Water Step, Decoy, Bridle, Venom, and Venom. Line Dance, Pixie Dance, Harvest Dance. So yeah, this is like a almost entire upgrade to their Swordmaster class. I believe they lost access to Preempt. I'm not quite certain on that. Let's take a look. Because I think Preempt might have been the only thing they lost. Yeah. So yeah, no Preempt, but they get all kinds of new abilities. Funnily enough, in terms of Habarim, he actually ended up losing access to the Archer and Fusilier. So for anyone else that like to do meme builds and turn him into a Fusilier, yeah. Can't do that anymore, the dude's blind, which, fair enough. So let's see here. Added Al Chaka, an active skill that boosts attack for the next katana attack and charges a percentage of max MP. So essentially, if you want to use your TP instead of MP that round, make your next turn a little bit more interesting. And okay, so then that moves us over to 956. So this is the second to last patch. 956A was essentially ironing out when this one changed. So, continued the incremental updates to campaign battles, this time adding Chapter 3 on Law. So that completely finishes off Chapter 3. So now he's working on Chapter 4 and or possibly random battles. It's unclear what he's working on exactly, but man, we're all the way up to Chapter 3 already. That was faster than expected. Because I think he only started working on full updates to all of those like last October or something. I mean, for those that didn't know, it basically involves going through every single fight, taking every instance of that fight and every like different variation of that fight, and then going through unit by unit, slot by slot, tile by tile, because everything is hand-placed for some reason. The only thing that's actually randomly generated in this game is gear within the specific limitations that the character is allowed to pick from. So, for example, with this character, she's specialized in two-handers, she's specialized in a particular element. It'll try to match that up as best as it can up to a certain level, and then from there, it's just a little bit of extra randomness involved and all that kind of thing. But yeah, most of everything, like every skill and all that, there's no randomly generated skills. They're all hand-placed. So yeah, they gave themselves a lot of extra work with that one. That goes for the original devs as well as Rakes there. Anywho, back to the actual updates here. So, Ravenous will join as a Paragon, but you won't be able to steal from her in the Reason Way battle. For those that might have missed it, so yeah, Ravenous is essentially Agrius now, since that's who she was supposed to be in the first place. Anyhow, let's see. Battles prior to getting some of the early special characters will always drop the marks for their classes. So yeah, you can get those Paragon marks, you can get Exile marks for Hopper and all that kind of thing. Essentially, just having the option for you to switch back to that class if you wanted to go pick up some other skills from another place or train them as something else for a little while. The option's there. So Festa is switched to Ice Element, Bane is now Lightning, so they overlapped, and Ice probably fits better. For those that might be unfamiliar, Festa is from the neutral route. Essentially, she's the kind of Ice Queen there. And that's what he's kind of referencing to, is that she is a total femme doge for pretty much every time that you run into her until she joins your team. So yeah, that's why Ice is considered better. Anywho, let's see, and then Bane is Lightning, which, fair enough, he's kind of up there in the middle of a lightning storm, so that's pretty cool. You can also steal Exile marks from Balzavon in Chapter 3, which is a nice little nod since, you know, plot-wise between Habrim and Balzavon. So you can steal his class marks there if you need them. Templar Knights are slightly stronger than the regular class they're a copy of, so that'll be a fun one to mess with. Really looking forward to the solo run getting there. The optional battle versus Nibith in Chapter 1 is one level lower, so he won't be able to use Tier 2 projectiles, and his troops won't have access to level 7 gear. The current situation resulted in less experienced players spending too much time on grinding until they're able to brute force the battle, which put them at an unnecessary level advantage for the rest of the content. Yeah, it's true. I mean, you can do it at level 1 and all that kind of thing. I've shown it off before, but yeah, it's supposed to be good for everyone, and quite frankly, yeah, it was curve stomping people pretty bad. So yeah, it's going to be a decent bit easier now. It should still be a pretty good challenge because they get a lot of advantages during that fight. But you know, good little early game boss now. Warren is now directly controllable in his Code of Battle. That will result in a lot less frustration for a lot of folks. For anyone that's gotten to the end of Code of 2, yeah. There is a doppelganger fight, essentially a copy of the end boss, and for whatever reason they decided to stick a guest character with basically no defense who would just bum rush the guy while it takes you about 2 to 3 turns to get there. Oftentimes it was just RNG as to whether they just completely died by the time you got there. Honestly, this was always a thing. I don't know why the original game designed it that way, because that was just terrible design. Anyhow, so he's now controllable, so that's not a worry anymore. Alright, weapon-wise, level of some in-game weapons was slightly adjusted. For instance, the 4 Wind God weapons are all level 34. Fair enough. That's just kind of a general quality of life thing. We can just scan through the weapons real quick to give you an idea. By the way, bear in mind that, like I was saying earlier, mine are actually out of order. I forget where exactly the resort command is. For some reason, I can't remember for the life of me here. Because yeah, that goes through that. I know the resort command is here somewhere. And I'm gonna feel real stupid once I read where it is. Whatever, let's just keep going on here. So one more tier was added to daggers, so they're back to 10, 13, 16, 19, 22. And I believe the one that he's adding there, and the reason that mine are currently out of order here, is going to be the Barong Knife and the Batongus, so that you don't have as much of a jump there. Alright, Dragon Slayer is now crafted with Secrets of the Master. It's probably something those crazy Dragon Lords would craft. Man, this one, I'm not gonna lie, kind of frustrated me because I was doing the solo run, and I was expecting to get a hold of this thing in order to be able to get through Palace of the Dead. So it's like I'm setting up for some 20-something streams there to actually be able to get through Farampa to go get the two-hander Enchiridion. And then suddenly it's like, no, now it's at the bottom of Palace of the Dead. It's like, crap. Well, there goes my ridiculously OP damage there. So yeah, for anyone that didn't know that this existed, the thing's basically the highest attack power in the mod at this point. If it gets past defenses, which it basically always does with that attack power, it gets an extra 50% damage, an extra 80% if it's versus a dragon. So the thing's pretty ridiculous, but it weighs 20, so you're essentially allowing everything on the map to double turn you at that point. Alright, moving on here. So Ventisca Spear and Gabolg had swapped places on the table, so double check if you had one of those in your save file. That's if that's your thing there. Draw out Katana ability now counts as a finisher, so we will benefit from the 2H Katana skill, and I didn't realize that it didn't do that before, so that should be a decent bit stronger. For those unaware, let's just go ahead and show that here. Basically, your side grades have this draw out thing right here. Basically, side grade katanas are almost half the weight, going down to a weight of 4, putting them on par with claws. And then, yeah, they're actually not sacrificing that much. They lose their luck bonus, they lose half their bonus damage. They're a decent bit faster to swing, but aside from that, they're about the same, and they've got a one-time use finisher. So, a bit more situational. You don't get that deflect, you don't get the TP reduction, but personally, I really prefer them. If anything, I would almost say they kind of need a attack power drop or something like that. But still, 20 luck is a pretty decent thing to lose because you're not critting constantly. But anyway, yeah, draw out is going to be scaling off of the Katana skill now. We'll see how good that is, since it basically scales with your regular attack there. So Chain Whip and Cat of Nine Tails are now bought in the shop instead of crafted, so people will know that they're there. Tambourine and Separua can now be bought in the shop instead of crafted. So you actually have some instruments there, which, I mean, I guess in the mod you've always had instruments, but still, they're there. Also, this is not the right place to be looking for it. Let's go over here to Brigantis. Of course you'd spawn a random battle, why wouldn't you? And yeah, we'll show up some stuff in a random battle in a moment. But in terms of those, yeah, those are all going to be over here. So you can just get more options. It's filled out. Filled out a little bit anyway. Alright, so RT Custom Instrument Attacks is now in line with Spellbooks. So what's the RT here? 32? Yeah, it's still relatively hefty. But basically, that's odd. Why is it so hefty? Because honestly, they're one of the slowest attacks right now. Because plus 32, let's see, two-handers are 24. I'm gonna have to ask them about that later. I don't know why they're plus 32. Because they're supposed to be plus 16, and I'm fairly certain this is the newest patch. Actually, I'm 100% certain. Alright, so I need to note to ask that later. So RT Constant Instruments, yeah, now in line with Spellbooks. Silver Arc and Silver Blowgun are also bought in the shop instead of crafted. You know, actually going back to this instrument thing, it is possible that it's a weight thing, maybe? I don't know, sometimes calculations are weird. It might be having that, no, it's definitely not having it. Anyway, I'm just talking to myself at this point. Silver Arc and Silver Blowgun are also bought in the shop, so yeah, you actually know that they exist there, fair enough. Crucible Arc and Crucible Blowgun are crafted with the bow and crossbow recipes, as is more appropriate for their level. True, makes sense. Crossbows lost a 1 upgrade tier, so now they go 10, 14, 18, 22, same as bows. Neat enough. Natural weapons of griffins, cockatrice, and octopi now scale better with dexterity than strength, which this is something that's actually come up a decent bit before. So yeah, they will be putting out some pretty solid damage now. Shields are now crafted with the weapon crafting books, as there's very little point in having a separate setup just for them. So yeah, that's going to be over here. You got melee combat and ranged combat. So for melee, you got your shields down at the bottom. For ranged, you've got the same thing you've had. Just makes it so that you can potentially make some other crafting books later. But yeah, so they're all combined now. As the community poll decided, basic armor upgrades aren't craftable anymore and are sold in the shop instead. It was expected that this option will win, but it seems that crafting has an unexpectedly large number of fans now, myself included. I kinda was hoping to see, like, maybe some optional bosses have items for optional craftables and things like that. It really wouldn't fit well in the technical limitations of what the mod's working with, but I had to ask. Anyhow, the HP value on armor is lower, and some of that value is now added to the classes, so the HP gap between classes that use cloth and those that use full heavy isn't as high, as there's already enough of a difference in defense. So basically, I feel like at this point, defenses are kind of like in a medium ground between where they were before the massive defense upgrade last year and now. So it feels like everybody's doing more damage, but again, there's a lot more defensive options. It feels good. It feels good. I know I say this with pretty much every patch, but it always does. It always does. Cloud, Inferno, and Kraken Ring got some status immunities. I actually forgot to mention that earlier. Salvation Gem can be used without Field Alchemy, so that should reduce some frustration for some people. Basically, Salvation Gem is the one where you can sacrifice a unit to go bring somebody else back to life. It really was only useful as a desperation item, which typically resulted in some frustration when somebody would go through and look at it and think, like, okay, great, the one character that doesn't have Field Alchemy is the one that's in a position to actually use the thing. So, you know, that ends up helping out a decent bit there. The Arcana for area damage spells 3 is now crafted with Ars Magna instead of bought in the shop. Essentially, this means that you can get access to them a little bit easier, hopefully. Some of the class marks for new spells are now crafted with Ars Magna instead of Transcription. It's a temporary measure until they're added somewhere else as drops. You'll be able to obtain them by that point anyway. Melee weapons and ranged weapons crafting books were renamed to Melee Combat and Range Combat, as we were shown earlier. Makes a bit more sense as your shield most of the time isn't a weapon. Fair. Spells and abilities. Icebreaker was renamed to Winter Siege. It also grants Water Walk now, which just sounds cooler. Status removal activities or actives on wards now cost 5 TP, just to make them a bit less spammable, I assume. Movement effects on footwear and rings have been improved a bit, so you'll get sidestep, levitate, resilience, water walk, and renewal with lava walk. And actually, that specifically makes me really glad about this ring for the solo run, because I now have a reason to go and get the thing, because it gives you renewal. It's one of the only ways you can do self-renewal in a solo run. I know that's crazy specific, and I'm pretty sure nobody else wants to do a solo run, but dang it, you can do it now. Anyway, so rename Salvation to Covenant. Alright. RT cost of Fusroda is down to 30, so it's a bit more usable. Princess's Whim TP cost is down to 30, and RT cost is down to 15. The total cost when you add the target's TP is usually high enough. That's Kasho's unique ability, where essentially she yells at somebody so hard that they lose all their TP, but they get haste. So, yeah. Actually, wait, Quicken? Out of curiosity, did that change at some point? No, Quicken is haste. I think. Yeah, no, whatever. It makes them go fast, one way or another. Like I said, tired, sleepy brain. Galaxy Stop now does 120 MP instead of starting at 100 TP. The chance of applying status effect is slightly increased. Basically, yeah, it's a bit more usable now if you want to use it earlier. Galaxy Stop is Warren's unique ability. Basically works exactly like it did in FFT. Thing is, though, I think now that it costs MP, I think the AI might be able to use it. I haven't tested that yet, but definitely plan to do so. See, Griffin, Cockatrice, and Octopus abilities now scale better with Dex. Blade Knight's Discord ability was a bit too cheap for what it does, and now costs 80 RT, and its TP cost starts at 100. So let's go take a look at that real quick. Discord gives you the ability to talk about Age of Empires or something. Actually, wait, who has Discord? Yeah, no, it is Blade Knight. How do I not have Discord on you? By the way, if you're wondering why she has all these skills you can't normally use. Basically, that's because I use cheats, and there's a old vanilla game cheat that allows you to learn most of the skills that just kind of saves time in setting up characters. Yeah, where's Discord at? Because I know it's in here somewhere. I saw it earlier. Wonder, huh? Wonder if it's in a different place or something. You know, it's very possible that this is something that got a tad broken when I was messing around with a save file. But then again, it might be locked to only Hobram or something. Well, shoot. Okay. Well, go get Hobram and figure out what it does. Anywho, moving on here. So, added the Arbiter special skill. It's pretty much a somewhat less powerful and somewhat more expensive Forbidden spell. Added Grim Dawn as a special skill. It's a spell that hits all enemies on the field with void damage, normally scaled but without type or element, and has a chance to inflict Frighten. So that one would be over here. So this is actually, it's going to get to this one in just a moment, but yeah, the Summoner is another new class. This is Cressida's unique thing. Basically can double attack with books, so that makes two characters that can double attack with books. They have a map-wide, basically illusionist ability. They've got the usual, a few of the Lich options like Covenant here, as well as yeah, their usual caster type of stuff here. That Grim Dawn ability is, I believe, around the center here. Because these slots are some of the ones that get replaced. So yeah, deals void damage and can frighten, and this is the second ability now that can hit the entire map. So yeah, so these and what are they? Oracles can do that now. Added Meat Shield active skill. It's pretty much the old risk management effect, which I believe that's on Cressida's class. I'm not sure at the moment. All right. So, Vitality Growth for most classes was adjusted to compensate for the default damage formula, which favors defense, as the impact of your offensive stats was dropping off in later parts of the game, and most of your damage with classes that don't have high attack stats came from your raw weapon attack, which isn't ideal. This will take more tweaking, as the formula is extremely volatile and have to be careful with it, but you should notice more classes doing consistent damage with their attacks now. And yeah, for anyone wondering, that's what... If you remember in Vanilla, around endgame, how everything started doing 1 damage... Yeah, it's basically the formula is super weird in terms of how many steps it has and in terms of how the different thresholds work and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not done being tweaked, like you said there, but you know, it should be you should be seeing more effect from your stuff now. Let's see, most classes will have a bit more HP to compensate, as the goal is to get more consistent damage across the board without having everyone instantly dying to a fully charged finisher. You know, cough cough, solo run. The class HP growth is a bit more front-loaded now, as the starting amount is higher and the growth is lower, roughly reaching the same values at higher levels. Magic defense of some of the more resilient classes is slightly reduced, and caster stats are slightly higher across the board. That should make spell damage a bit more consistent. Terror Knight can now use Power Fist as the only shield-like item, which if we change this guy over to a Terror Knight, kind of makes me wonder what one-hand options they have. Actually, come to think of it, I wonder. Because they don't get access to a lot of things, but so this is we're getting to this one in a moment, but yeah, there's a one-handed two-hander now. It's unique. It drops in one of the temples. Just fun little thing there. Alright, let's see. So I assume that's what the Power Fist is given to them for, because I don't think they actually have any other one-handed options. Yeah, they don't, so it's basically meant to be used with that. Anywho, moving on, let's see. Dragoons can now use projectile 3s, Necromancer got Shadow Resonance instead of Instill Dark. Lich got access to Meat Shield, so yeah, they're the ones that can sacrifice other units for themselves, makes sense. Fits the theme, like it says here. Octopus lost Preempt, it wasn't working properly. I completely forgot that was even a thing, to be honest. Ranger lost 2 Ender Swords as a transfer skill. He'll gain the ability to shoot Gunblades if I have extra ability slots somewhere down the line. He got Whips instead for now. He can use Projectile 2s. So that'll be neat to have another character with Gunblades then. Dark Priest got Blood Magic instead of Meditate. Felt like a better fit. Princess lost First Aid, but gained the Arbiter special skill. She's one of the most powerful casters in the SNES version, and if she uses melee attacks with Conviction a lot, it leaves her with a lot more MP than she can possibly shake her Royal Scepter at. I can assure you that the thing she summons is absolutely not named Asgard. Her ass is definitely guarded well enough already. Well done. Fair point, fair point. But yeah, no, Conviction plus Spears was pretty nutso. So it'll be neat to see that. Let's see what that does. So summons the Guardian Spirit of Valeria to deal crushing damage in, what does that say, in a large area? Yeah, area 3. So this is a, yeah, that's really good. I'm gonna have to test that out real quick. Oh, I think I know what that is too. Okay. Okay, well, we're gonna go test that in timeout real quick. Or I guess we're gonna test that right here. Also, interestingly, why does this map have only 9 slots in it? Huh. Well, I have no idea what that's about. Oh, it's Highlands. Okay, that's why. Alright. So, out of the... Oh, wait. Geomancer got the Enter Flame active skill, and passively raises spell resistances, enables the use of Bobble Walk as an active. Added the Summoner as a unique class for Cresta, able to equip Light Shields, Cloth and Light Armor, and Cloth Light Accessories. As the weapon side, having daggers, cudgels, spellbooks, instruments, and whips as a transfer skill. The class has similar access to skills as Warlock, including Art of War instead of Draconic, and Sanctuary. Okay, see, like, they can actually make use of Sanctuary. I don't know why it's on Knights, because they don't need it. And not to mention, it's just worse than Rampart Aura in every way. They also love books so much that carrying 2 of them at once is worth the hassle of learning double attack. Summoner can learn all recruitment skills, Covenant, Seal, Evil, Grim, Dawn, as well as being able to transfer Lament of the Dead, Animate Dead, and Extend from other classes. Fascinating. Okay, yeah, Lament of the Dead and Extend seem amazing there. Class is able to use Summons, Bursts, Debuff, and Buff spells, Light and Dark, Ninja Summons, Shadowbind, Decoy, and Venom, and Art of War. So that is a really good class then. I can see a lot of utility there. Starting bit score for most racial templates is lower and attack stats are higher. Hobram can't change his class to Archer or Fusilier anymore. After one too many arrows in the backside, Denim realized that Force Sense trademark ability doesn't work terribly well in long range. Fair. Also, we're just going to go ahead and slap some items onto her real quick because I want to test out Arbiter. Now, this... Okay, so, Krista can't change to Astromancer anymore as she got her own unique summoner. Sarah is back to blue! So yeah, those that liked that one, it's back now. Personally was one of my favorite unique changes, so it's good that she's back. She was looking a little edgy before that. Okay, so we'll just continue to boost her up here. Should only take a few uses of these. Again, normally this is supposed to be combined with what's it called? With Conviction. Now, as you may notice there, we're actually getting additional effects. So there's a small scaling effect now that's been added to healing items. So this one, instead of doing 25, does 20 plus a percentage, so 20 plus 13 in this case. Meanwhile, the heals are going to be doing a similar thing, although actually... Oh yeah, I got rid of all Mend Leaves on the save file, that's why. But Mend Leaves have a similar thing going on. Mr. Big Hat Logan over here. Who I apparently forgot to put some skills on? I don't know. I apparently forgot to do some of the skills for this test file. Alright, there we go. She's all nice and charged up, so Ars Magna can now be bought as soon as Bernicia in Chapter 4 instead of post-game. Good, good. Some spells are available a bit early, mostly in Denev's shop. Skills, spells, and items were resorted. For something like spells, it means that your cleric will have heals on the top of the list. It's something you'll probably use the most often. To apply it to when you load an existing save, use the magic and skill list through the browse command. Item inventory is always in browse mode. Move some entry from the list in its current spots to sort the menu, apply auto sort. See, I know that menu exists, I know I've run into it before, but I seriously can't for the life of me remember it at the moment for some reason. So we go over here, view inventory, magic and skill list through the browse command. I don't know, we'll take a look at that after this fight. If you start a new game, you don't have to do anything, it'll use the new default sorting. Of course, if you don't like where something is located, you can always manually move it to another place. So, yeah. Alright, and now we move on to the latest patch, 956A. Alright. So, first of all, let's go check out Arbiter. Go, Guardian of Valeria. Yeah, it's the end boss thing. Okay, nice. So this is one of those abilities that the last boss would use sometimes, but it was so low priority that you basically never got to see this. So that's nice. I really like that. Alright, so gonna go ahead and retreat out of this real quick. Go ahead and speed this up real quick. Yes, 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 yes. Alright. Go to the party, go to browse. So that'd be down under inventory, I assume. Alright, so. Access the magic and skill list through the browse command. Okay, so that's only for those ones. I forget how you resort items, because I know there is a way to do it, but it's just it never comes up, so... There it is, there it is. Okay, so you just double tap on the item. And yeah, that'll solve the issue from before. There we go. So now they're where they should be. I'm sorry for missing that. This game has so many weird little conveniences in the menu that honestly I don't even know where most of them are. It's been like a decade of this game. I seriously don't know most of those little background features because there's just too many. Also, on a little bit of a funny note, if you equip the full ogre set on Denim with his unique necklace, from his default health value, he winds up at exactly 666 health. It's funny. It's not going to happen for most people, but it's just funny that it happened. Anyhow, here. So 956A. So continue with incremental updates. This time adding chapter. Wait, that was already looked at. No, we need 956A, please. Would be greatly appreciated. Apparently, I'm looking at an older version of the patch notes. There we go. 956A. Alright, show me the patch notes. There we go. Alright. So, starting generic units in your squad will be proper stat templates for the class they come in. Basically, that means you won't have a caster that's specialized in strength anymore. There are specific uses for mixing and matching people like that, but for most folks, they wanted their actual template there. Rudlum should now be a bit less suicidal. That's pretty handy. Weapon rank earrings or bonuses from earrings pretty much boil down to having some damage and some accuracy. There was little point in having one earring for each weapon type, so they've been scrapped and have been condensed into 2. So that would be the wolf and cat. I believe I had one of those over here. So yeah, basically they got boiled down into this. And for those unaware, yeah, weapon specialties, all it adds is 4 attack power, 3 accuracy per rank. So basically what this did is kind of make universal versions of them so that those slots can be opened up for other things. So here they are. Wolf Ring is 10 strength, 10 vit. So you're essentially getting 2 extra, well, you're still getting more or less equivalent attack, plus you're getting strength, plus you're getting vit, plus you're getting defense, plus you're getting health. So yeah, and then same thing for here. Agility and avoidance go up by 20, dex by 10, still 5 attack, 4 defense. It's solid. Alright. And by the way, the defense is universal. Instead of with the weapon chokers, it was specifically against that weapon type. Okay. So let's see, added a monkey grip 2-handed sword. That's the one I showed you. Your Resident Meatloaf Berserker will be able to dual wield this for a true fantasy experience. He'll drop in Temple of Zoshnal Sanctum above level 33 on one of the Orc Terror Knights, who will be using it and will be guaranteed to drop it. Unique rings have higher stats. Let's see. You'll have to check all the inside earrings. Yes, we already covered that. Most curative items have a lower starting value of HP and MP restoration, but will restore a percentage of the max in addition to it. Jolly Roger has been shifted around, so you'll have to relearn it. Very specific on that one. Some of the wards are available a bit earlier. Strong ones will cost more TP to use. Don't suppose any of those wards are available at 1. No, they're at 8. Or 4, 8, 12, etc. Alright, let's see. Meditate got a fixed amount of MP in addition to percentage. It's lower than Magic Leaf, but the percentage is higher. Warlocks and Stills now use the same effect as curative items, so they'll also scale. Let's see, Instill Remedy cost is down to 40. Absorb MP will steal 10% instead of 15%. And then fixed skill descriptions, and then weapon type descriptions will now say light or heavy instead of dex or strength. So let's take a look there. So that'd be stuff like over here. So yeah, basically the whole strength or dex thing, while it is a system in the game, it's one of those things where essentially it was kind of confusing people in terms of how it worked. Because both the dex and strength weapons still scale off both stats. It's just they prefer one or the other. So basically light and heavy, the heavy ones will scale better off strength, the light ones will scale better off dex, but they will still use both. So hopefully that should confuse people less there. But anyways, that's all the changes for now, which is quite a friggin' ton of them, so it's fun times there. Definitely looking forward to seeing the new changes that can be done for different challenge runs and things like that, but you know, cool stuff as always, and yeah, if you guys have anything that you'd like to see tested, let me know, and I plan to actually start doing like kind of AI challenge fights and all that kind of thing. I figure it might be a fun little community thing to do. For anyone that didn't know, there's essentially a multiplayer feature in the game where you can make AI teams, so I figure this might be a fun way to show what kinds of stuff has changed in different patches and all that kind of thing whenever they come out, as well as maybe just doing some themed stuff. So yeah, the tournaments, not many folks tended to show up for the tournament, so instead, we might do a little community thing. Maybe more folks can get involved. So, you guys have a good one, and I hope you guys have fun with the new patch, and yeah, can't wait to see what Rix comes up with next. Take care.